So here's your homework for the parabola. So let's graph it, and then on the other side we'll work with the equations differently. So this should be easier than yesterday. That was the first time you saw it, or whenever you looked at it. So for the homework part here, now I'd like you, for your help, for your benefit, to press pause more often, to try it first, then press play to see if you did it correctly. All right, here we go. So the first thing I notice, the vertex is at -4 and +1. I'm going to put that on my graph. -4 and +1. The next thing I notice is that this is going to go sideways, horizontal, and it's negative. So that means this one's going to open up to the left. I just want to make sure I understand that. 4p is equal to -4. Now I'm going to do the absolute value of that and understand the length of the lattice rectum is 4 in total. So I'm going to split it in half when I do it. And then when I divide by 4, p is equal to 1, which is going to help me find my focus. Now, because it goes left, when I go from the vertex and go 1 left, that is my focus, right there. So I'm going to write that down. 1 left is -5 and 1. Then I'm going to go 1 right. So if I go 1 to the right, that's now my directrix. And if I go through the focus and the vertex, that's my axis of symmetry. So I have these already for my graph. So my axis of symmetry is y equals 1. My directrix is x equals, and notice I added 1 to the vertex. So if I add 1 to the right, that's -3. Now, how do I find the lattice rectum endpoints? Well, the full length is 4. So from the focus, I'm going to go up 2, and I'm going to go down 2. And if I connect that line segment is called the lattice rectum. So from the focus, I went up 2, and then from the focus, I went down 2. So -5, 3, and -5, -1. Now, draw your parabola, and it's done. Number 2, press pause. This is where you get the most out of this. Try it, and then press play and see if it's correct. Challenge yourself. All right, first thing I notice, it's in the right form. So -2 and -3, that's my vertex. So -2 and -3. Done. Next, I notice that x is squared, and then we have a positive. So if x is squared, it's vertical. And also, because it's positive, that means it's going to go up. So vertical and up. So from the vertex, I'm going to go and make 4p equal to 12. So I know the length of the lattice rectum is 12. When I divide by 4, p is equal to 3. So from here, I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3, and put a little x there. That's my focus. So when you go up with what direction it's going, that's the focus. So up 3, that means it's -2, 0. Go down 3. 1, 2, 3. That is the directrix. Draw the perpendicular line that goes through the focus and the vertex. That's the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is x equals -2. The directrix is y equals. And notice I went down 3. So if I go down 3 from the vertex, that would be -6. Now the last part, the endpoints of the lattice rectum. So know that the full length of the lattice rectum is 12. So from the focus, I'm going to go 6 to the right and 6 to the left. So those are on my parabola that I'm going to curve through to draw. Notice that's from the focus. So from the focus, 6 to the right. That's 4, 0. And then 6 to the left. So that's -2, subtract 6, that's -8, 0. Connect, That's your lattice rectum. Now curve through the vertex. Done. Number 3. Again, press pause. Every time you can be independent and then double check to make sure you did it right is when you get stronger in this. So, first of all, this is not in the right form because of the 1/2. So how do I undo 1/2? Is to multiply both sides by 2. So step 1 is to multiply by 2. The quadratic needs to have no number but 1 in front of the parentheses. All right, the vertex is at 0 and -5. I know that this opens up to the right because y is squared and it's positive on the right side. So I'm going to find 0 and -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. I know that the axis of symmetry, because it's horizontal, goes horizontal. And that would be y equals -5. All right, now I need to know what p equals. So 4p is equal to 2. That means p, when you divide by 4, 2 divided by 4, p is 1/2. So from here, I'm going to go to the right and left. Now when I go to the right 1/2, that's the focus. So 1/2 to the right, that's 1/2 and -5. Then I'm going to count. Now it goes two in total. So 1 up and 1 down. So from the focus, 1 up and 1 down, and it's at 1/2 there. So there they are, 1 up and 1 down. And then when you connect them, that's through the focus. That's the lattice rectum. So that's the direction it's going to fold through those points. The end points there from the focus, I went 1 up and 1 down. So 0.5 -4 and 0.5 -6. 1 up and 1 down, and it's done. All right, last one. Again, press pause and try your best first. So step 1, look in front of the quadratic term. I don't care that the quadratic's on the right side. It can be on either side, but it can't have that number in front and definitely can't be negative in front. So how do I undo the -1/4? And the answer is I multiply both sides by -4. That's step 1. Now 2 times -4 is -8. And now it's written correctly. -8 y minus 4 is equal to x subtract 3 squared. Now we're at the right spot. So the vertex is at +3 and +4. Because x is squared and it's negative, this is going to fold down. That's important. So when I say 4p is equal to -8, that means p, and the absolute value of that is 8. When I divide, p is equal to 2. So from here, when I go 2 down, that's the focus, because it folds down. And when I go 2 up, that's the directrix. So I have the directrix, I have the axis of symmetry. So let's write those down. So this focus, I went 2 down. So it's 3 and 2. The axis of symmetry is x equals, and it's x equals 3. And the directrix is y equals. And from the vertex, I went 2 up. So 4 plus 2, that's y equals 6. Now, back to the focus. What's the full length of the lattice rectum? 8. So that means I'm going to split it in half. So that means I'm going to go 4 to the right. I'm going to go 4 to the left. And then I'm going to draw my parabola. Done. Now, what are those endpoints? So from the focus, 4 to the right would be 7, 2. 4 to the left from the focus would be -1 and 2. And there you go. you're able to analyze a parabola as a conic section with new words like directrix and latus rectum. Focus. Turn the page. 2 more to graph. Step 1, is this in the right form? No, I need to undo the 1/6. So to do that, I'm going to multiply both sides by 6, and now it's good. Step 2, what's the vertex here? So it's at -1 and 6. So go to your graph, -1 and 6. There's your vertex. What direction does this go, the parabola? Because y is squared and it's positive, that means it's going to the right. And that means because it goes to the right, the axis of symmetry goes left to right to split it in half. And I could write that down right now. That's y equals 6 for the axis of symmetry. All right, how do I find the rest? So let 4p equal 6. That's the length of the lattice rectum. Divide by 4, and 6 divided by 4 is like 3 divided by 2, which of course is 1.5, but make it easier on the graph, right? 1.5. So from the vertex, 1.5 to the right is the focus. So 1.5 to the right. That's 0.5 and 6. We're also going to go 1.5 to the left. That's going to be the directrix, 1.5 to the left. That is x equals -2.5. Then, from the focus, the lattice rectum is 6. So we're going to go up 3 and down 3, and then draw our parabola. So there's our lattice rectum, and then here's our parabola. So what are the endpoints of that lattice rectum? So from the focus, 0.5, I went up 3, that's 9, 0.5, and I went down 3, that's 3. So 0.5 All right, number 6. Last one to graph. Is this in the right form? Nope, I don't like this right here, that negative. So to undo that negative, divide by -1, and it becomes -4y on the right side. Now we're good. So what's the vertex? It's at -2, 0. Which way does it fold? Folds down. Again, press pause, remember? Like do it first, then press play. So I'm going to find -2, 0. Next, our axis of symmetry, because it goes down. There's my axis of symmetry going up and down. That's x equals, in this case it's -2, so it's x equals -2. I need to know what p equals. So 4p equals -4, or the absolute value of -4. So when I divide by 4, p is equal to 1. So from here, if I go down 1, that's my focus. If I go up 1, that's my directrix. So let's write those down. So if I went down 1, that's -2, -1. If I went up 1, that's y equals +1 for the directrix. Now, the endpoints of the lattice rectum. So what's the length of the lattice rectum? That answer is 4. So from the focus, I'm going to go 2 to the right. I'm going to go 2 to the left. And then I'm going to connect and make my parabola. So those endpoints I put down, 2 to the right from the focus. That's 0 and -1. 2 to the left, that's -4 and -1. So those are the ends of the lattice rectum. and now you've drawn your parabola. So there's graphing that parabola. All right, the last questions here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Can you write this properly? And again, I'm going to ask you to write down the vertex and the direction it's going. So for this one, how do I write this properly? So I'm going to have y squared and 20y. I'm going to subtract 14x and subtract 58. Can you separate the variables? And the constant goes with the linear or the non-quadratic. Can you complete the square? Divide by 2. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. Square it. That's 100. So 100 to both sides. Combine like terms and factor. So in this case, I have y plus 10 squared. That's factoring. On the right side, just so I have some space, I'm going to combine like terms here. 100 take away 58. That's 42. So when I factor this, I factor out the 14, and 14 goes into 42 3 times. Oh, and it's a negative, right? No, it's a positive. Well, because I'm factoring out a negative. So this 14 is negative, which then changes this to a negative. Be careful of your signs. So I'm factoring out a negative 14. It's just a negative 14x and 42, but makes this 3 then a negative. All right, it's now in the right form. So the vertex is at positive 3 and negative 10. And which direction is it folding up? So look carefully and see that it's going left. Notice y is squared and it's negative. All right, 8. Can you write this properly? So x squared and negative 18x, y subtract 91. I can separate them. Can you complete the square? What number am I going to add here? It's 81, right? Divide by 2 and square. So that's going to be 81 also on the right side. When I factor this, can you factor it? That's going to be x minus 9 squared. And on the right side, if I combine this together, that's negative 10. So it says y minus 10. What would and if you like, you can put parentheses around it, but the vertex is at 9 and positive 10. And what direction does it go? It goes up. Number 9. Press pause, you try it. All right, now it's my turn. So x squared plus 4x, negative y, subtract 14. There's step number 1. Next, complete the square. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. That makes the right side negative 10. I'm going to factor. That's x plus 2 squared. And I'm going to factor out the negative 1. So that gives me y plus 10. The vertex is at negative 2 and negative 10. And does this open up, down, left, right? Look carefully, down. So x is squared and it's negative on the other side. 10, try. So press pause, you try it. All right, my turn. I'm going to add y squared to the right side because I want the quadratic term to be positive. So I'm going to subtract 6y. X is going to stay, and I'm going to subtract 8. Do you have I think it doesn't need to be complicated. Pretty easy skill of separating the variables. Next, I'm going to complete the square. So when I complete the square here, what number gets added? So that number is 9. I'm going to add that to both sides. So to the left and right side. So the left side, if I combine them together, that's x plus 1. And this is y subtract 3 squared. Now that's in the right form. What's the vertex? Negative 1, positive 3. What direction does it fold? Look carefully. Y is squared, positive. It opens up to the right. 2 more. Okay, press pause. You, then me. It's the good work that helps you learn this, right? That you build your skill. With no practice, no work, your skill stays where it's at, right? So I'm trying to give you some structure to build the work, to be able to build a skill that you didn't have before. All right. So y squared is going to stay where it is. I'm going to subtract 16y, subtract 3x, and I have a negative 58. Can you separate the variables? Next, I'm going to complete the square. So divide by 2 and square it. So divide by 2 is 8. Squared is 64 to both sides. The left side, factor it. That's y subtract 8 squared. The right side, well, if I combine these together, first of all, negative 58 and 64 is 6. And then factor out the negative 3. So be careful of that. That makes that negative now. So it's negative 2 when you factor it. And that's it. The vertex is at positive 2 and positive 8. And which direction does it go? And it goes to the left. All right, last one. Press pause, you try it, and then I'll do it. All right, here we go. Last one. 2x squared, 24x, negative y, negative 74. Now notice the quadratic term has a number that's not a 1 in front of it. I got to factor that out. So I'm going to factor out a 2. When I factor out a 2, that gives me 12. And then divide by 2 and square it. So complete the square right away. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 6 squared is 36. What does that leave me for what I need to add to the other side? So it's not 36. Instead, it's 2 times 36. And that number is 72. Next, factor. That's plus 6. On the right side, if I combine like terms, that's negative y. That's subtract 2. I'm going to factor out a negative 1. That gives me y plus 2 when I factor out that negative 1. And then I have to divide by 2 as a last step. So I'm going to divide by 2. And now it's in standard form. So the vertex is at negative 6 and negative 2. And what direction does this open up? X squared and negative. So this opens down. You did it. Mr. G Math, I am so proud of you that you got to something that you didn't know how to do before, and you're working at your skill. You're doing your best, putting great effort into it. So I appreciate you. Mr. G Math, over and out. And until next time.